But today we've got a nice simple project, so we thought we'd take the time to film a little how-to video for you. Aren't you lucky? So, today, garden edging. Sleeper edition. So we've got a raised sleeper border coming into this section of the garden. So step one, just spray out for the edge of your sleeper. We like to just do a few dots, and then you can have a look at it and then join them up at the end. So you can see we've done that step already. We've got a nice little angle going in here. But yeah, so that's a nice easy step. But then you can sort of visualise the space, and then brings you to your next step. Work your way along the edge of your spray mark. So we like to do this so that when you come to cut off the turf for your trench, it's just a nice clean line, and it looks nice and neat, and obviously the lawn will just peel back a lot easier. So for this project we've got a sleeper and a cobble edge going in. So your trench won't need to be this wide. So you can either use a hand tamper, so it's sort of anyway, look it up if you don't know what it is. You can use a hand tamper if you haven't got a hand tamper. Use the top end of a sledgehammer. So just to compact the sort of the soil that's been loosened up as you've been digging through, that will just compact it down, ready for the next stages. Alright, so the next step for your sleeper edging is you want to install a layer of hardcore MOT. What else could it be referred to? Anyway, in the UK it's called hardcore MOT. So you just want to install a layer of that. It doesn't have to be anything substantial, it's not a patio after all, but I'd say between 50 and 75 mil. Again, if you really want to, you can skip that step, but in this video we're showing you how to do it like a pro, all boxes ticked. Yeah, so what this does is just create a little bit of a sub base just to ensure nothing's going to sink over time. It might make a little bit more sense when we show you the rest of the process, but yeah, that's your next step. Fill your trench with a layer of MOT, hardcore. And once again, we've got a sleeper and a cobble coming in here. So again, your trench won't be this wide. So next step for your sleeper edging, to keep it nice and future proof, you're going to want to coat the bottom and then the internal face, so that the side that's going to have contact with the soil. So obviously we're using pressure treated sleepers, but in the UK the pressure treatment's not all that permanent or good. So we just do these extra steps to ensure the sides that have soil contact aren't going to rot and, you know, disintegrate over time. Tiny little details. We found a roller and a tray is the best. We just pick up these flimsy disposable trays because, yeah, once you've got bitumen in it, you're not going to get it out again. So this is what we'd recommend. Yeah, cheap disposable tray, roller, and then you can obviously get rid of the head. So yeah, just doing the back face now. Yeah, and then over here I've also coated a 4x2 on all four sides. So this is what we're going to use, along with a few other methods that I'll show you a bit later. This is what we're going to use to join the sleepers together. And yeah, so this, your joining timber you want coated on all four sides, so obviously the water can build up timber to timber, and then the other three sides will be in contact with the soil. So pre-coat your joining timber. So I've got a couple more sleepers to coat, bottom and back. we're going to let those dry overnight. Yeah, I'd recommend letting the bitumen dry. It keeps your hands reasonably clean, and also obviously just gives it time to soak into the timber. Not going to have any moisture soaking into the timber while you install them. Yeah, so obviously bitumen on the interior, squared off on the join. Beautiful. And then tiny little details, we like to also just keep our screws in line, so you can swap your square and then get your screws in line. Try and get them equidistant as well. You're going to want to come down down from the top and the bottom a fair amount, just so you don't split the timber and it's a nice solid fixing. And then obviously level, and then level across as well. Boom. So, and then you can see our technique here. Bella will explain it a little bit more. Again, your project at home might be slightly different. We've got an angle running through here, so we've pre-cut our angles 22.5 degrees so to equal 45 in total, or to half the 45. We've got our 3 beds. So, what is our mix, Gregster?
This is a Form 1 mix. This is grit sand and cement, just a bit stronger. Yeah.
Nice. And you can see we keep it semi-dry, very similar to a cobble mix actually, but we keep it semi-dry just because we have noticed over the years, especially when you're screwing things together with an impact driver, there's a lot of vibration. So if the beds are too wet, the sleepers can tend to sink. They can even sink when you just put them on. So keep your mix semi-dry as well. So this process here might be where we differentiate from other contractors. I see a lot of people in the UK especially putting in a full concrete footing effectively. So the reason we don't do that is, my thought process behind that is, if there's a full solid concrete footing underneath, I guess technically it is a little bit more structure, but when it rains, when there's water, the water's just going to sit on that concrete and then get absorbed up through the base of the timber. Even with your bitumen, you don't want them just sitting in a puddle over the years. So I don't know if we developed, maybe we'll say we developed this process. So what we do, you can see it's a good 100mm pad, so you're still getting your structure, and again most of the pressure on the sleepers is back and forth, it's not really down, do you know what I mean? So we just do 3 individual pads, 1 on each end, 1 in the middle. So then you can see, like, if there's, and they're all angled away from the sleeper, so if there is any water, that's just going to drain away through the MOT as well. So this is how we like to do it. A, for they're easy to get in, and then B, for future proofing the timber as well. They're going to last a lot longer, and it's still just as much structure as a full footing. That's our thought process behind it. Let us know if you do any different, or you have any different thoughts on the matter. Anyway, we're going to get this bad boy in. Alright, so as you can see there, probably should have mentioned this before, but you just want to use your rubber mallet to tap it down to height and level, so that ensures you're not denting, putting any marks on the timber. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I'll run you through a few more little details a bit later on. Alright, so now we've got our 2 adjacent sleepers, all to level, all on their beds, all running in a straight line. I should just mention, to be a responsible how-to video creator, we've only got 2 sleepers running here, so we've just ran the level along our face to make sure they're running straight, as you can see. But if you had a long run, say you're doing a whole long length of a garden, set up your string line to height, so set a pin up at the other end and run a string line. If you can get it to height as well, that's ideal, so then you're literally just matching your top edge to the string line. If not, just get it for orientation, so then you're running the face of your sleeper to the string line. So this wasn't really long enough, there was no need to, but I'd definitely recommend that if you had, say, more than 2 sleepers, set up a string line and if you have the wherewithal, the skill set, set it up to height. So it'd be, you could even set your first sleeper in, set the string line onto that, put a nail in the edge string line, and then level across down the garden and set it up at the far end. Anyway, little details. Here's our pre-coated 4x2. We've cut that to a length of 600mm, so that's about 300mm onto each sleeper. Don't worry about that cut end. We're going to be coating the rear of the next sleeper, do all the ends, do all the touch-ups, but as you can see it'd be very hard to, it would be impossible to coat the bottom and then some of the rear as well, as we're running into the bank. So those are the main faces you want to pre-coat. Anyway, time to join. Alright, cut. So there you have it, sleeper joined. So we've got 200mm screws into each sleeper, so 100mm, and you might notice here, because the front face is what's important, so we want that running flat and flush. So these sleepers were ever so slightly off, so different widths by about 2mm. So we just put a 2mm packer down the back. So when we screwed it together, it didn't pull the front face in. So yeah, the front face we want nice and flush. So yeah, little details, but they all add up. And then pretty much just repeat that process for your entire sleeper run. So we've got a few angles, a few little things, and then we're going to be stacking a second sleeper on top. But pretty much all those techniques are the same, tiny little details. So again, we have a cobble edge coming in here, so we have to cut this fairly flush. But yeah, just get your little trowel, smooth everything off. And again, you want to ensure the water's running away from the timber. So just put a little sort of haunch on it. But yeah, thank you very much for watching. I am George Jones, the co-owner of Matterford Landscaping Design. You've been joined here today by the main man Greg Stutt as well. Okay. Boom. Yeah, thank you for watching our how-to video, how to install sleeper edging.